we're back. Welcome to Season 2 of Generation Aggie, a podcast dedicated to connecting with Aggie alumni. I'm Juliet Hill, a fourth-year communication major, streamer, and your host. This season, I'll talk with a diverse and fun group of alumni as they share their stories from their time at UC Davis and after graduation. I'm excited for this season's lineup of guests, as some I've admired for a long time, and now I get to share their stories. Let's welcome our next guest. Welcome to Episode 1, Season 2 of Generation Aggie. I'm Juliet Hill, your host for this season. I'm a fourth-year communication major, and I'm a social media intern here at UC Davis. Generation Aggie is a podcast where we hope to connect Aggie alumni with current, future, and prospective students and allow them to get a better understanding of possible future careers. I'm excited to be switching things up today. As you can see, we're in person here with today's guest, Cindy Suzuki. Cindy and I have actually met before. Earlier this year, I was doing informational interviews, and I was actually interested in the same career field as Cindy. Our conversation flowed so well that I wanted to bring her in person. And so, with that being said, hi, Cindy. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Would you mind just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Of course. So my name is Cindy Suzuki. I graduated UC Davis in 2016 with a degree in communication and minors in professional writing and textiles and clothing. I now work in the fashion industry.
Yes. Awesome. So I'm so glad to be talking to you today in person again. I actually wanted to start this conversation off by recapping a little bit what we had talked about the first time we ever spoke, and then we can get started with our Aggie questions. How does that sound?
That sounds great.
Okay, awesome. So do you want to talk about a little bit more about your current job and what the day-to-day is like with that?
Yeah, so I'm an associate styling editor, and basically I wear a lot of hats, and so primarily in my role, we are working towards photo shoots. And on any given day, I could be running around helping a model get ready. I could be creating the outfits that you see on the models, or, really helping our production partners make sure that our shot lists look in order in terms of what we need to shoot for the day. So running around, doing all the things. I never have the same day twice, so I'm lucky to be able to do it all in some ways.
Sounds like a dream for me. So have you always been interested in fashion? Or did you always sort of know what you wanted to do as a child?
I always had an inkling that fashion was where I was going to be. I think as a kid I thought, I'm going to be a designer. And I think typically when people from the outside looking in the fashion industry, they think that's the one job you can have. But as I grew older and started to learn more, and really at Davis is where I learned there are so many different things you can do in fashion. And so from there, that's when I really felt confident that, being in the industry is something I could actually do and try a couple different things out. So I've always had that sensation in me, and I'm happy and very proud to finally be where I've always wanted to be.
Yeah, I think that's why this podcast is important, because for the same thing for me growing up, I thought the only job in fashion was a designer, and right. I didn't think that was possible for me. So getting to learn more about careers like yours are super important. So would you mind talking about your experience in the fashion industry as a woman of color? I think that's an important conversation.
Absolutely. So I carry multiple identities with me. I'm a woman, I'm a person of color, I'm a first-generation American, I'm a first-generation college graduate, so there's a lot that I carry with me, and those things are really the lenses with which I see the world. And so I think to start off, the fashion industry really has a stereotype that's been prevalent of being, competitive, can be harsh, can be mean, can be cruel. But I'm really lucky to say that my experiences so far have been really the opposite. I've met really warm, nurturing people who've, helped usher the way for me and have, mentored me into the place I'm at now. I'm so happy to have been able to work with so many women. It's been something so important to me to learn from, really strong, brilliant women. And I think I've had such a counter experience to what you see in movies and films of what the industry is going to be like. On the other hand, too, I think there are so many ways the industry can advance and really improve. I think, oftentimes I come into a room and, I wonder, am I the only person of color in the room? And it's something that, it just is always in the back of my mind. But I think, the industry is making improvements in diversity and inclusion. We just need to keep at it and make sure that, people who have really diverse backgrounds are in those creative leadership roles. So I'm really looking forward to seeing more of that advance. And I think mentorship is something that's really important to me. And I think that's how you can continue to pave the pathway forward for more people after you.
Absolutely. I think that kind of work is never going to be done, but I'm glad to hear that you've had those positive experiences.
Yeah.
So we already talked about your major and you're working in that field now. Did you ever change your major while you were at Davis?
Yeah, so one thing actually, I came into UC Davis undeclared in the College of Letters and Sciences. And, initially I felt really unprepared in high school. I didn't know what to go into. I didn't know what would be the best route for me. But in hindsight, I think that was the best thing I could have done for myself. It is not uncommon for a lot of people to change majors during their first year. In fact, a lot of my closest friends changed their majors their first year. So I initially came in thinking English, psychology, sociology, those topics seemed really interesting to me. But once I took those introductory courses, I realized while they're interesting, they don't seem like things that I would do as careers or finding like a job in them. And so that really helped push me to figure out what it is that I want. So I came in undeclared, and then after some really great advice, some resources through the College of Letters and Sciences, through some dorm student helpers, they helped me figure out that communication is where I could be and something that would really be a great field and major for me to just be able to know I will carry those studies with me into multiple career opportunities.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people are scared to come in not knowing what they want to do, but you'll turn out just fine. You just give it time, and we have the resources, talk to the right people.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite part about going to UC Davis?
So many. I feel so grateful to have been here. There's just so much that I think I loved about the campus. Like, I love that it was a small college town feeling, but at the same time, too, there's the contrast of when you come to campus, it can feel like you're one in thousands. That first day experience, I'll never forget about it, having people bike past you. It's just, there's a lot going on. But at the same time, too, once you really get to know campus and find your people, find your crew, it is such a warm feeling to just go out after class, find your people, walk around. I loved just that the campus had so much to offer, from intramural sports to going to hang out at the Coho. I don't know if people still say the Coho, but
yes, they do. Yes.
Like going out to hang out there and just, going out to downtown as well. There's so much that this school has to offer, and even really, I felt like I was able to push myself academically because you're among really bright and intelligent people. So there's just so much, and you feel really like you're capable of doing so much when you're here.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Being a fourth year, I think the campus gets smaller and smaller as you spend time here, and your community just continues to build. So
Exactly.
I would agree. So do you have a specific favorite memory while you were here at Davis?
I have had so many lucky and fun memories. One that comes to mind is I also used to be a social media intern back in the day, and one of the things that we did was cover the picnic day event.
Yes.
And so it was so fun not only to experience it as a student and just a person in the crowd, but to be able to create content and record stuff and just create something fun for campus. Instagram and Snapchat were very, new and developing at the time, so it was fun to just try something new. And I've always loved picnic day and just ending the day watching all the dances.
Yeah.
That is always a favorite thing for me.
Fun fact, my first picnic day was not until I was a junior because of COVID and all of that. So I experienced my first picnic day last year, and I have to say it is a truly magical day in Davis. So
I'm glad you finally got to experience the true essence of it.
yes, next year I need to do more. I want to see the wiener dog races. Did you get to see that?
I did. I was in the front. I was very lucky with my intern pass to
Yes,
go to the front.
I need that next year.
Yeah, you'll love it.
Yes. Okay, so a little more serious, but what was the hardest lesson you think you learned while you were here at Davis?
One of the most important things I think about is time management, especially once I was a junior and senior. I really took on a lot. Like in my senior year, I was balancing 2 internships at one point, a part-time job, two clubs, and being a full-time student, and it was a lot. And I think in some ways it really helped me figure out how to time manage now as a fully busy adult and, balancing so many responsibilities into true adulthood. But I feel like I really, burned myself out back then and was living for the breaks at the end of the quarter. Mm-hmm. And I just think, there are a lot of pressures that students face from having to be a full-time student, whether it's meeting your scholarship needs to be, a full-time student, but also to earn like money through a part-time job. There's a lot of stressors. So I think just finding ways to have a work-life balance or not take all in at one time is really important. And so, I think in some ways my grades may have suffered from taking on too much, but at the end I really learned, what are my boundaries? What do I need to do better? And that's helped me to where I am now.
Yeah, there's definitely a fine line between that overwork and like working hard. So I'm learning that now too.
Yeah.
So what advice would you have to someone considering applying to UC Davis or considering UC Davis in their college applications?
Yeah, one thing that really helped me, and if you are in the area or you're able to travel, I would highly recommend doing a campus tour.
Yes.
That really solidified it for me, just to be able to come and take a walking tour and really slowly see everything on campus. I came in the fall time and it was so beautiful, and we went through the Arboretum, and it was really a helpful way to see if I could actually, see myself here on campus and what it would be like to go around. Would I bike? Would I walk? So I would highly recommend if you can. And if you can't take pictures, go on Reddit, find someone to ask, find people to ask about their experiences online, use your resources and see if you can just find different ways if you can't physically come here. Mm-hmm. And on a practical note, I would say if you're not sure if you want to be a biker on campus, don't worry about it. I biked for 2 years, and then after I moved away to West Davis, and I started taking the bus, and I walked every day on campus. I walked like 5 miles on average, and I think it's a nice way to really experience campus. And so, I know a lot of people bike, and this might be a hot take, but if you're not a biker, it's okay.
Yes.
Don't let that deter you.
Yeah. Working in undergraduate admissions, I feel like I hear that story every time. So many people, Davis isn't necessarily their first choice, and then they come and visit, and they SIR that day because the campus is so beautiful. And bike note, yes, I had my roommate freshman year. She didn't have a bike for like the first 6 months of class, and she was fine. So
they're expensive.
If you can't ride a bike, it's okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And so let's jump back to your career. Yeah. What would you say is your favorite part of your job right now?
So I'm lucky in that one of the things that have been so exciting is I get to travel for my job. Like, I cannot believe that in this last year I've been able to go to New York, Vermont, Mexico. It's been such a great way to experience different locations, and I just think on paper that how lucky am I to go to New York for fashion that just, I feel like I'm living such a wild dream. So I think travel is such a perk, but also just to be able to have a creative outlet. As a creative person, it's always, we're always looking for ways to find ways to express ourselves, to try new things, to push boundaries. And so being able to have that trust to try new things and showcase my skill set is something that feels really rewarding. So I'm quite lucky to do what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. I can only dream to have a job like that in the future. Our conversation when we first met started because I had just come back from New York Fashion Week, and
So jealous.
being in New York, I can understand how amazing that is to be able to travel to all those different places.
Yeah, I grew up in a small town too, so I'd never really seen anything. I'd never left California. It was a big thing. So being able to travel is a privilege, and I'm very grateful for it.
Absolutely. And then, so obviously you love your job by the way you speak about it. Do you think you'll stay in this area of work, or are you eventually going to shift into a different position?
I think about that often, and as a creative, I think we always, like I was saying earlier, we always crave ways to find new ways of doing things, or finding new ways to express ourselves. So who knows in the short and long term what that may look like, but I definitely want to continue to push myself and grow and learn and try new things. And I think one thing, no matter what, if I stay in fashion, is I want to continue doing mentorship. I think that's so important, and I recognize that I've benefited from really great mentors from Davis, from high school to where I'm at now. And so to be able to do that go forward, whatever I'm doing, I would love to make that a priority, because it's the way I see it, you're paving the way forward for whoever comes after you. So
Yes, this relationship has been like that for me, this mentorship. What advice would you have for students looking for that mentor, or how to build that connection?
yeah, mentors come in all different forms. One of the folks who I consider a mentor here for me at Davis was my UWP professor, Ken Anderson. If you can take UWP 104C, just take it. I'm just saying, it's journalism. But he really helped me out, because I felt like I was in a really hard time on campus where I felt behind as compared to my peers. Actually, in his class, I was the youngest person. I just felt so out of place, and so I went to his office hours and I spoke to him, and he gave me such great advice and really helped reassure that I was on the right path. And so that's just an example of a professor or teacher being a mentor or resource. So use the people that you have around you where you can. And, the internet is also a great source too. LinkedIn is a great place to maybe cold email people and just say, hey, we're in the same industry, or I see you're at a place that I want to work at. Would you be open to a call or email? People are really willing to chat and offer up advice, and it just takes a little bit of courage to reach out. And, you'll be proud of yourself to do it once you put yourself out there.
Absolutely. I was in that place where I was afraid to speak to people, to network, and that trip to New York actually is what sparked that ball for me and got that rolling. I spoke to you, I spoke to some of your colleagues, and from there I was able to get another internship. So it's always important to put yourself out there. And I think people excuse me, get a little nervous sometimes, but it takes that one step and then you're more comfortable and confident.
Exactly.
And so with that, I think we can go ahead and wrap it up. I want to thank you so much for coming on and speaking today. I had a great time. I learned even more about you than I already knew. And I want to thank our audience for listening. Go ahead and stay tuned for our next episode. Go Aggs!